You're mad at me for telling you about a dream. I'm mad at you for calling yourself an empath right now.
It's easy to be detached when things are going well.
I don't feel lonely. I just start losing touch with reality.
Couples therapy as a
Mhm.
almost like a preventive measure as opposed to a reactive
Yes.
measure.
If we're being sex positive, then both of these needs have to be valid.
Hey, welcome back. This is Not For Everyone, a podcast hosted by a hater and a lover. I'm Jess. That's Caroline. What's going on, baby doll?
Oh my God, I have a really exciting update.
Oh, please, immediately.
Okay, so I have decided that I've healed.
Oh
And this is how I know. This is how I know.
my God.
I'm going to talk about dreams for a second,
No,
which
fuck.
it's so boring to talk about your dreams. Why are you mad?
I
Why?
because I've had it on my list for a really long time, but it just like hasn't come up yet. But
To talk
one of the
about
topics
dreams?
that's been on my list for the podcast is how I'm tired of pretending to be interested in people's
No, no, no,
dreams.
no, no. You don't have to be
Okay,
interested.
I'm not
Because
going to
I'm not.
pretend.
Shut up. Shut up for a second. You're going to be interested in what I have to say. This is the thing. For sure, it is horrible to ever expect anyone to be interested in your dreams. Sometimes we have to do that for people because we love them. Like you give some amount of interest. Sometimes it's interesting. To me, though, um, when you're just like, what does it mean? Like probably nothing. Or I
Stop.
do think I do think dreams mean something at just like a high level. Like you have an anxiety dream, you have a guilt dream, you have a stress dream. Like, yes, I think that reflects something.
Yeah.
We don't need to get into the itty bitty gritty of like, why did my dad say this when he was on the toilet? What does the toilet
Like,
mean? It's like,
why was it at my high school, a
yeah,
blend of my high school and my first apartment and a
why?
cemetery? I don't know. Why would I know? Why would
Your
I
brain was
know?
short circuiting. Your brain was short circuiting. Why
You
did
were,
I
your eyes were
hallucinate
going
that?
so fast in the middle of the night. There's no explaining it. You were just going, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do
Okay.
think that like the high level feeling is relevant. It reflects something. Does that mean you have to tell everyone about it? No, but I'm going to do it anyway. So,
Okay. I'm so
so,
annoyed.
so that's fine. What I want to say is that I've been having horrible, horrible nightmares, and I actually think that it's because I've healed. Let me explain.
Mm.
So I feel like personally, I have certain nightmare themes. I think everyone has like their theme nightmares. For me, historically, it was always a paranormal thing, some kind of ghost or something is haunting me. Or it was that I all of a sudden like come to exist in the dream and just realize I've murdered someone by accident. Like I and the dream is not about the murder. The dream is about my guilt and like, why
Hmm.
did I murder someone? Why did I do that? Now I have all this guilt. Now I'm on the run. Now I ruined someone's life. Like now the police are after me. Like I'm responsible. I have hurt someone. It's all about guilt. I'm wait, I feel like there's another one.
Did you write down notes about the stream
I
so
did
you
write down
could tell
notes.
me with specificity
Shut,
about your dream?
respectfully, shut the fuck up.
I
This
just
is
have to call it
important.
out. If you're gonna pause for commentary,
Yes.
okay, then I'm
Okay,
gonna
I was
call it
reading
out.
my notes. I was reading my dream notes. And then just in the last couple months, I have started almost every night having wildly violent dreams where like violent assaults, violent attacks are being perpetrated against me. Someone is attacking me, someone's assault. They are so
Oh my God.
egregiously violent and they're really, really detailed and they go on. It's not like a montage sequence, it's like a narrative story. So it feels so real and they're so violent against me and they're so disturbing and honestly it's making it hard to live but the all of a sudden I was like wait, this is so different from how my nightmares used to be. My nightmares used to always be about how I was bad. Basically, I'm bad,
Mm,
I've done something wrong, and recently the nightmare is that someone does harm to me and I have decided that
wow.
this is a sign of my healing because I actually value myself more in
Oh,
like the last
sweet.
year in a way that I never I never like did before. So now it would actually be scary for like me to be robbed of safety or something, as opposed to the greatest threat on earth always being that like no concern for myself, but that I'm horrible. I've hurt people. I've done something without intending to. And so
Yeah,
this is why I'm just talking about dream themes and
fine.
how I've decided they reflect my healing.
I accept now. I knew that I would come around to this dream. I knew you wouldn't spend my time on this unless it was worth it. It's very expensive. Um
Very expensive. You'll never
no,
get that time back, Jess.
that's actually amazing. I'm really
Yes, it
happy.
is.
I'm really
Thank you.
happy to hear that. And I feel like, okay, maybe your dream, maybe this shift in your dreams is one of the things that like told you that this is going on. But you
Mhm.
probably already knew this is going on, right? That like but it was like a nice moment to realize like, oh, I value myself a lot more. I've healed a lot. But that's been
Yeah,
happening. I feel like it's
it has
been
been.
visible.
It has been happening. Oh my God, you've witnessed my heels?
I've witnessed it.
Oh
I'm
my
trying to
God,
think of an
describe
example.
describe them to me. Describe them to me immediately. Please talk about me.
Um, well, instead of like attacking me when we see each other, you let me attack you. No. um,
What? Oh, okay.
I'm just
You
using
need to,
the dream.
that's a joke. That's a joke.
That's a joke. We don't attack each
Okay.
other except with
Okay.
love, um,
Kisses
and
and
kisses.
spanks.
Absolutely. So yeah, that there has been a little bit of a shift in who's the aggressor here. But if I'm gonna talk seriously, I actually do think that I've felt a little bit of an energy shift in a healthy way where I just notice a little more like calm and settledness in
Oh
you.
my God. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Like she just kind of like, okay, she's okay to like be where she's at type of thing. I don't know. I read into shit.
Whoa, diggity dog. No, please read into it. That makes me so happy.
I do think that I've noticed that just in how, yeah, like the vibe that you give off and it's so subtle. It's like not like you
I
were
know you
doing
can't
anything
put words
crazy
to
or
it.
wrong before, but like I think that I'm an empath. Like I feel like I'm in tune with people. I hate when
Okay,
people say that.
you're mad at me for telling you about a dream. I'm mad at you for calling yourself an empath right now.
I think that I am pretty decent at feeling people's energies, and I think that I
You are,
know
you
you
are.
really well on like a deeper level.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just think that whenever we're like touching base about something, or even just like your energy in person,
Oh.
you're a little more like breathing. Does that make sense?
Oh, I think it
Yeah.
does. That's how I feel. I feel
Yeah.
like I've done a lot of hard work this year. This is so boring to listen to, so we
No,
can't talk
it's
about this so
not.
long.
People care about you.
Do they? I know, but I want the podcast to be, if we're talking about ourselves, I want it to be for them
The
because
worst
they
parts of
relate.
ourselves.
No, no,
Yeah.
no. I want it to be something that they relate to.
This is relatable.
This is self-indulgent, but I do feel like I'm gonna share it because I think and I hope the hopeful, relatable part is that this year, especially for me, the big challenge has been like attachment challenges in my relationship, and like it feels like the hardest test. Um, and I've had to do so much intentional work on it, and reading and therapy and conversations with Justin and self-regulating and self-soothing and learning, and I've always been committed to those things, but it's been like a boot camp recently, and like in the last year, and I feel I still totally struggle. It's still probably like my main struggle, but I think whenever you brush up against those things that are really hard for you, if you want to give it the positive spin and you're someone who's like really into self-development and growth and betting yourself, it's like those things happen the most at the really hard times. It's a
Mhm.
hard time for you
Peaking.
because it's that pitfall. Totally peaking, hashtag peaking. But like if attachment issues aren't a struggle for you, then that part of your life won't be hard. But like because it's hard for me, it is the opportunity to work on these things that are the challenge. There's lots of things that aren't an emotional challenge for me that other people struggle with, but this is one for me, and I totally still struggle with it. But I feel like I have grown and changed so much in how I can like take care of myself, where I derive my self-worth, where I derive meaning, how to stop myself when I notice myself. Like the other night, I totally went on a
I
dark
saw it.
bender.
Okay, I'll say
Every
two ways
everyone
that I
on
saw it.
Instagram's everybody on Instagram saw it.
Yeah,
Everyone
first of
on
all,
Instagram
I
saw
saw
it.
it on Instagram. This is how creepy I am. Let me just, you're gonna regret giving me your location. So
You
we,
have my location?
yeah, we shared them when we were in LA and
I
we were
know,
like,
but
oh, I trust you with it.
no. That conversation ended with me saying I'm gonna take it back, and I thought I took it back. You have
Oh
my
no, we both
location.
still have each other's locations. And
Oh no.
don't take it away. But can I just tell you, just please, we don't live in the same place.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna come find you. I'm not the aggressor. Um,
That's not how I thought that conversation ended. Remember, I was
well,
like, I'm taking it away.
right. And so then I watched you on your walk.
Oh shit.
I didn't actually watch you, but
No,
yeah,
that's
you were
fine. You
posting
can.
on
You
your
can.
Instagram story this like nighttime walk. And I was like, is she like just walking around at night or is she? I was
Yeah.
actually like kind of concerned. I was like, or is she like coming back? Maybe she went to the gym late or something. Maybe she's like walking from her car uh
Mm-mm.
up to Justin's
Mm-mm.
apartment. I was like thinking of like where you could be
Mm-mm.
walking around at night. So then I looked at your location and I was like, oh, she's just roaming
I was just roaming. I was just hanging out at a local Safeway, like on the street with like peddlers.
with
No,
all
I
the
was just
carts.
roaming. I had nowhere to go because what had happened then? So this is what happened. Okay, yeah, I know I
I'm
said I
I'm
healed.
admitting a lot. I'm being really honest, and so are you in like totally different ways in these first 10 minutes of the episode.
So this is what happened is that I in our last episode, I you asked me what I was doing over Pride weekend, which was this past weekend, and I said I had a ton of work. And Justin, there was a combination. There was a bit of a storm, which is that
Mm.
Justin went away out of town and I had a ton of work to do, but I was so happy. I was like, great time for him to be away. I'm going to hunker down. I just have to do so much work. I don't have time to see anybody. And I love that. I love it. I get so excited to be able to focus and do work and whatever. And then about 3 days in, I started losing my fucking mind. And I don't actually end up feeling lonely. This is why I never reach out to friends. But I don't feel lonely. I just start losing touch with reality. And it was the kind of thing where I was working 14-hour days. I hadn't left my apartment. I hadn't I hadn't left my apartment. I hadn't gotten out of my pajamas. I was going waking up and going to bed in the same outfit for 3 days, not leaving my apartment. And then I turned to Instagram. Why? Why? First, I turned to yogurts. I bought like a bunch of yogurts, and that was fun. And then I wanted to tell people about it, and that was fun. And then I think it started getting weird, and then it kept getting weird. And then I got in a fight with somebody evaluating me for dyslexia, and it was a whole thing. And then I was like, oh, at the end of this, I need to shut down my Instagram. Um, and eventually I ended up calling a friend. I finally had the wherewithal to like FaceTime my friend Ashley. And then I had the wherewithal to plan an evening little picnic with Abby, our editor. And oh my God, I felt so much better. And it was like no shit.
Yeah.
But I think my takeaway was like, with Justin going out of town, I was just like, I'm just going to take this time to focus on all this work I have. But because I really don't really get lonely. I don't, but I fucking lose like relation to the world and lose
Mm.
touch with myself. So I think I need to proactively schedule those social things next time just so I don't end up on Instagram again. But what was my fucking point?
I'm not sure, but I do understand what you're talking about. I think that for me, I don't really get lonely either in those moments. I probably used to, but I think now I like kind of revel in the opportunity to be alone for a couple days, like you said, and like focus on what I want to focus on, be lazy if I want to be lazy, like not kind of have any commitments with anyone. Because it's so rare to come by that type of time. But I get bored, I think is more my problem. And so when I get bored, that's when I start inventing like weird shit to do and weird things to post on Instagram and like I start being deleted. And it's kind of fun. You're describing it as something that you were kind of like worried about and was maybe a problem for you. I feel like
Well,
for
I
me,
was having
I feel like
fun.
it's fun.
I was having so much fun, but then I was also like, I'm gonna get so many messages about like, am I okay? And I
Mm,
actually kind of was okay and I was having fun, but honestly, the Instagram stories were not a bad time for me. I think they were a bad look. But I
I
went
love
into
them.
really dark places outside of the Instagram stories. And the
Okay.
things that helped, I forced myself to go on a run. I forced myself to listen to some Eckhart Tolle podcasts. If you haven't listened to him or read him, he's pretty great. And I like went on a run while having like a mild panic attack and just kept running through it and listening to this podcast and thinking a lot about like I cannot be deriving my sense of self from my relationship. And it's so easy to do to derive your sense of self from work, from your achievements, from your relationship, from who loves you, from whatever. But like that isn't the self and it actually isn't your worth. And like you can rely on those people and love them and invest and make yourself vulnerable. But you're not worthy just because somebody loves you. And you're not worthy only up until someone breaks your heart or breaks up with you or whatever your great fear is. Like that can't be your sense of self-worth. And I was kind of thinking about that and just like
Hmm.
where am I deriving my self-worth from now? I'm deriving it from my work. I'm deriving it from whether my videos perform well. I'm deriving it from how I feel about my body. I'm deriving it from my relationship. And like all those are big no-nos. And I think it's not just going to magically go away, but I think it's a constant check I have to do. But that helped me recenter than like seeing somebody. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense to me. It always makes me this topic of self-work. Ugh, it does have to
This
do with that, but
self-work. Yeah.
this topic of self-worth um always makes me kind of spiral in my head because things that you see on the internet and maybe what some therapists would say and some people would believe is like you're worthy just inherently by being you. And though I appreciate the sentiment of that and it's not like I vehemently disagree with that, I also it doesn't really make me feel better. It's like
I agree. I
I
agree.
don't really know, like, okay, and I'm still stuck in this spiral of like trying to derive worth from this thing and that thing and this relationship and that love and that work. And um, that's kind of what this society and what this world trains us to do and feeds at and throws at us all the time. And um, those are some things that are really like celebrated. And so it's very hard to just apply the
Yeah.
thinking of like no but just forget all that because you're worthy as you are. It's like yeah, I cute, but how do I don't believe that. I don't inherently believe that. I do and I
Yeah.
don't like I mean I
Totally.
do, but I can't apply it. It doesn't mean I'm not going to spend all my days trying to find my worth, prove my worth and do it in all these different avenues because that's
Yeah.
the world we live in. So I don't know. It's like I don't even know what the answer to that is or what the solution or different approach is, but it's a it's an interesting subject that I spend a lot of time like caught in my head is I'll notice myself deriving a lot of my worth from work and then I'll challenge that and ask myself why and try to get to the bottom of it. And then part of me is also like, is it that bad? You know, we kind of had this
No, it's
conversation
not
last week.
bad. It's not bad, but that's the thing. I'm gonna let you keep talking, but like
No, no,
it's
no, I'm
definitely
done.
not bad. The idea is not that that's wrong or bad, and it's like of course that's rewarding. It's not like you're supposed to be completely detached from all these things that your life and the
Right.
society runs on. Um, and I'm not the expert to talk on it, but it is. I think it's just something to like just do those little checks on and be like, if I lose that thing, if I lose my job,
Yeah.
if a few months ago my videos all of a sudden like weren't performing the way that I was expecting them to And I basically chalked it up to, well, I know like other YouTubers have told me views often go down when the weather gets nice. And now my views are back up and like all my fears are gone and it seems fine. But I was a little humbled by how much it rocked me. I
Yeah.
thought I was a little more detached from my work, but it was a rude awakening of like how much smaller and sadder and weaker and uglier and like I felt when I didn't feel as accomplished in my job. And it
Hmm.
was a very rude awakening that I needed. And okay, great. Like I'm feeling successful in my job again. Like my work is going well, but everything ends. It will end. And like, how much do I want to be flattened and stopped in my tracks by that when it happens? Or like, people die, relationships end, love fades sometimes, or beauty fades. You're getting all of that from like how you look. Good luck to you. You get your sense of superiority. That's like it's if you're getting your sense of like superiority sort of from,
Yeah.
oh, but this person loves me. Oh, I found the perfect partner. Oh, I have the perfect job. Oh, I have the perfect career. Oh, I have the perfect body. Those types of things, like they will all fade. They will. And then you'll recover. But it's like, to me, I think the way I relate to it is just trying to do little checks to make sure I understand that there is an underlying, I don't know, like goodness and
Yeah.
deserving that isn't attached to any of those things.
I
I
like the
guess
word
that's,
attachment that you're
yeah.
using. I think that that helps me understand it better. Is like you don't want to be overly attached to any one thing because you can't count on those things to last forever. Um, and there is like when I think about it more, people saying that you inherently have worth, it's like there is worth in just the person you are and like your existence. And I do think like everyone has something, that they inherently are and they don't have to work at and they don't have to try for and they're not being measured against and whatever. That is just like them and being themselves and that is good and that is worthy. So I guess if that's what it means, then like sure, yes. But yeah, I also think there's a lot of that talk out there and then it makes it seem like if I'm deriving any worth from the other things that I do, then like I'm out of sorts and I'm like some maniac who's
No,
just like obsessed with
no.
success and productivity and this and that and the other. And I think that we people often talk in extremes about these things and
Yeah,
it's like
yeah, yeah.
really more something in the middle. And then yeah, the other thing I was thinking while you were talking was just how you described like the views on your YouTube channel and how that rocked you when they dropped and it just made me think like it's easy to be detached when things are going well. Like when work is going well and your relationship's
Totally.
easy and your
Totally.
friendships are all flowing, like it's easy to
It's
be like,
not
"Oh yeah, my
detached.
self-worth is just inherent. I'm detached from all these things. No big deal." And then as soon as one of those things is wavering, which will happen, um that's when you're like, "Oh no, no, no. Do I still have worth?" You run towards it. So
Which is
yeah, I
so
don't know. I don't think there's
natural.
anything bad about that, but it is I guess it is just like a constant check.
It was just a check. And I mean, I guess what you said, I completely agree with. Like, the social media talk, I think it bothers me like in the zeitgeist on social media when people do the like, remember, like, I deserve, I
Mhm.
worthy, whatever, when it's used to basically say, fuck you, I can do whatever I want. Fuck you, I don't have to work on myself. Fuck you, I don't have to like reflect. I basically like, I hate all of that when it's just used to justify the things they already want to do and the ways they already want to be selfish in like a gross way. That's when the worth talk is fucking annoying to me.
Mhm.
Um and unhelpful. But you as somebody who falls, like, you're never on that side of the spectrum. You're always on the like, how can I be good to people? How can I um earn my place here, deserve this love? I want to feel like I don't think you have to worry about being on that side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Um but but when you talk about like, yeah, I think this idea So I referenced listening to this podcast and talk from Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart Tolle, I never know how to say his name. He's like, is he a Buddhist thinker, philosopher? Or
I've
he talks
definitely
a lot
heard of
about,
him, but
I mean, he's a big name. I don't know if it's Buddhist or mindfulness actually, but there's a lot of overlap. But one thing that bothers me with him is like one of his big things, if he wrote this book, The Power of Now, which is really, really popular. It's a great book. But
I
one of
think
the
it's
things
just
he's,
spirituality. It
yeah, just
says it
spirituality.
says he's German.
He's German, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, you can still be a
You could still be a
Buddhist, but
Buddhist, but yeah, it doesn't say anything about Buddhism. But yeah,
I
go
think
ahead.
it's just like mindfulness and stuff. But one of the things he impresses in this book, The Power of Now, is like how he reached the state of enlightenment in which he sat and lived on a park bench for like 2 or 3 years, like with like in total bliss. And he just like lived on a park bench and he was like enlightened in total bliss. And to me, I'm like, dog, this is not a strong pitch to me. Like, I don't want that. Forget about having a home. Like, what about you're telling me that I should be completely detached to all my relationships and all my people? Like, to just sit, like, there is validity to it. And I know I'm missing parts of it. But just to say, I agree with you that some presentations of the extreme are like, no,
Yeah.
I don't even want that. Like,
Right.
shut the fuck up. Like,
Right,
no.
exactly.
What about my family? Or like the thing I was struggling with, as much as his talk helped me recently, I'll also counter it to say the thing I was struggling with and I wanted to talk to my therapist about was like, okay, so easy, we can agree you shouldn't derive all your worth from your career or all of your ego, all your superiority from your career or the fact that you're being loved by someone or the fact that you're beautiful or the fact that you have all this money. But 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 do I have to write off all relationships? Like, can I not derive like worth from the way I love people or the fact that like my family and friends and my partner loves me or like this idea that you're supposed to have complete detachment? I guess there's something there, but I don't find it helpful. I agree. Like
Yeah.
the complete thing, I just don't find it helpful. I'm not working on being a Buddhist monk. I don't want to live on a park bench. So I think there is like a middle ground and anyway, I'm just saying I agree with you, but it's for me, it's just in those moments where I'm like, even if you never lose your partner, even if you never lose your job, even if you never lose your looks, if your worth is too tightly tied to them, then it's you're going to engage with all of those things with all this extra anxiety. And it's
Right.
going to really affect those relationships, even if they're relationships you get to keep forever.
Right.
So it's just maybe a different way of relating to them.
Yeah, it's like looking at it on the micro level is a lot easier of like if you're going to be overly attached and tie up all of your worth in your romantic relationship and then your partner goes away for the weekend and you're crumbling and don't know what to do with yourself, then you're going to have a bunch of unpleasant weekends in your life. Like
Right.
even just looking at it like that makes it a little bit
Totally.
more like,
Totally.
okay, so just to improve those
Practical.
times, yeah, as opposed to being completely detached. I agree with you. But I guess, I don't know, it's so fascinating that there are people who go to those extremes. And I do think that for most of us, the like takeaways from what those people have done are exactly that. They're like, okay, take what
Yeah.
works for
Take
you and then
2%.
leave the rest. Yeah.
Totally.
But it's funny that there are people that like, do the 100% to give us the 2%, you know?
I know. I remember reading that book and just being like, bro, this is not it's not a strong pitch. I'm not interested.
Mm-mm.
Like,
It's not even what I want to do. Yeah. It
I
almost
know.
reminds me of like we alluded to this a little bit because of being too attached to like your looks and beauty fades and all of that. It kind of makes me think about the body image conversation too, where
Yeah.
there's there's so many extremes. There's like body positivity and then there's body acceptance and then there's body neutrality and like there's all these terms for it and they kind of all are a different way of saying like ever so slightly different things. And I feel like I don't know. While it would be nice to be able to completely disengage from the idea that what I look like means anything about me, I also don't mind having the motivation to go to the gym
Totally.
that like
Totally.
I want to be a little more confident in a bathing suit. Like I
Yeah.
also don't think that that is a bad thing. I can accept
It's not.
what my
Just it's
body
not.
is, and I know it's not, but I think
Yeah.
that that's how the conversation goes a lot. It's like, "Oh, well
Oh,
you should just
yeah.
go to the gym because you just want mental health reasons, for like positive mindset
Everyone's fucking
and
lying. They're all
endorphins."
fucking
It's like,
liars.
yes, and if I want to lose 5 pounds, leave me alone, you know?
I
So,
mean, yes. I've talked about this so many times, but like for the amount that preachy philosophy is on social media, I have never met that person in real life. I
mm,
have
so
never
true.
met, I have never met the woman, especially, but I don't even think the man. I have never met the person who genuinely doesn't care what they look like. I have
Yeah.
never met them. If they genuinely don't care, the only version of that I've met is someone who's like really depressed and it's like it's actually not good for them. They should like it's because they're like giving up on life or they hate themselves so much, which is still another form of caring. Like it's all over social media. Everyone's enlightened, never met the person.
Right. But then you get fed these examples of like Alicia Keys doesn't wear makeup. Alicia Keys is always one of the most naturally beautiful people with tons of
It's
money
so
to be
fucking
able to
annoying.
go get like
It's so fucking
facials all the
annoying.
time. It's just like, like,
Ugh, it's still putting beauty on a pedestal. That's one of my biggest
yes,
complaints. That is actually one of my biggest complaints. Stop me if I already talked about this.
we probably
Of
have, but it's worthy.
when people talk about aging gracefully or people shitting on plastic surgery, which like I'm not saying go get plastic surgery. I'm not on any side of the debate here, but
Yeah.
what annoys me is the argument that people uphold as anti-plastic surgery and they're like, "Look at such and such. Pick a name of an older woman who is naturally beautiful or maybe has had plastic surgery that you can't detect, but maybe she hasn't and it's just naturally beautiful." And so then it is not enlightened out of the worship of beauty. It is just saying beauty is still the thing, but get there naturally. So
Yeah.
it's much more exclusionary. It excludes way more people. It's like if you want to say don't do plastic surgery, show me all the ugliest people you know who have aged without it and say this is great. But that's never what they fucking do. They pick
No.
the most unnaturally God-given beautiful human beings with who won the genetic lottery, who aged amazingly, and then they say, see, I'm above it." And it's like, no, you still worship beautiful people.
Yeah.
You're not above the beauty worship. You
There was an
haven't like broken out.
there was a perfect example of this that was going around Instagram a couple weeks ago where somebody was making the exact argument that you're making, which I totally agree with, and using this example of Julianne Moore, who I think was on a cover of
One of the
Vogue
most
or
beautiful
something
people, one of
recently,
those people who's ever lived.
was beautiful when she was young, is beautiful now that she's in her 60s or 70s.
You dumb
And
fucks.
she was on the cover of a magazine where they were celebrating how she has aged so gracefully and so beautifully. And that is already an enigma example, but
Even the phrase
also,
aging gracefully is so insulting. Yeah.
right, but also they like completely photoshopped her. Like
Yeah.
she is blurred, she looks
Yeah.
tight, she looks like she's 30, and it really doesn't look like what Julianne Moore looks like if you see like video
Yeah.
footage of her on the red carpet, which she's still gorgeous and she still won the lottery of
And
aging
she
and all of
still
that.
looks better than most people her age, better, quote unquote,
And
whatever
they
we've
still
all
on a
decided.
cover
Totally.
celebrating how she's beautiful at an
Everybody
older
sucks.
age. They photoshop the hell out of it. So
It's really annoying.
it's all a lie. It's all a lie, and don't believe anything and just do whatever you want.
I agree. Jess, I agree. You're my guru. Write a book.
Oh, guru. I love that. I'm following, speaking of guru, I started
Yeah.
following this woman who's like in her 70s, I think, and she calls herself like the child-free guru because she
Interesting.
is
I'm
an
looking it
older
up.
woman who has been child-free, and like you hear a lot
Child
about
free
people our
guru.
age deciding whether they want children or
Yeah.
not, but you don't often get the stories of the person who is our parents' age
Oh, she
who
is
didn't
your
have kids. She's
guru.
so cute, and she
She
says
looks like a kuka mamie for sure.
she's
This
a
is a kook
kook.
mama.
She's
Oh,
a
I can
kook.
tell from the haircut. I can tell she's a kuka mama.
Sometimes her advice is like, whatever, take it or leave it, but other times it's kind of nice, and I just like her
That's
energy.
awesome. Yeah.
And she always says, "I'm your child-free guru," and she says it like that. And
Guru, guru.
guru.
Like ragu.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I don't know. Sometimes
Wow.
people write in with like wanting more on that topic.
Child
And
free.
yeah. And
We're
I'm
child
like, I
free.
don't know if I have it for you, but you could go follow the guru.
Guru. Guru.
Guru. What
Okay, did
else,
you say you
baby
had
chief?
something stupid to tell me?
Yeah, probably. Always.
Okay, well, tell it to me.
Do you have examples of things with you and Justin where they're like mundane things that you guys have really different uh, needs around or opinions about? I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
Captions. I require captions on everything I watch because I'm a baby who's still learning how to read and I
Mm.
need it for my attention span. And Ryan gets really annoyed by them. Of course, we use them because I win these things. Um, but that's an example. Another example is like temperature
Oh,
at night. I'm such a hot
yeah.
sleeper and like a hot running person. And he surprisingly runs cold, which like I don't think you would think by just meeting him or knowing anything about him. Because I think you can kind of feel that stuff about people. And he doesn't seem like he would be cold leaning, but he
He
is.
doesn't seem like a cold person. That's
And
funny.
so yeah. And so like the temperature at night is always too cold for him, but I need like air circulating because I'm going to be sweating all night. And we just have these little things that it's like, oh, we're pretty different, but it's not like big enough to cause a stir, you know?
To cause a stir. For sure. I had a conversation with Justin, um, talking about like if we were to live together, and I was like, I am always looking for a fight. Not really. I just like to ask controversial things.
Yeah.
And I was
Got to
like,
get it out of
what
the
do you
way.
yeah, I was like, what do you think we're going to annoy each other over when we live together? And he was like, I was like, wouldn't it, or I think he said this. He was like, it'd be really funny if you just immediately were like, I'll go first, and then started coming out with it. And I was like, no, I don't actually have something in mind. And he did though.
Of course. Let me
He
get out my
was
list.
like, first of all, actually really easygoing person. He does not, I think I have probably more particularities, and he is very accommodating. He doesn't have a ton that affect me. But the one that he's spoken up about is that he cannot abide having forks in the dishwasher pointing up. He
Mm.
is like, I can't, it just freaks me out. Like he thinks it's gonna
But
like
then I feel
puncture
like
his
they need
skin
to
or
stick
something.
up so that the part that you use gets washed better,
This is a
you know?
partisan debate. This is a partisan debate. Like
Wow.
people have very firm preferences on that. I don't actually have a preference of whatever. I think I also have them sticking up, and he's like, that has to change. He's like, you have to remember this. He doesn't ask me to do a lot. He really doesn't. He doesn't ask me to change a lot. But
Yeah.
that's the one thing he put his foot down about. And then I was like, okay, so I'm working on that. That's the main thing. When I said I've been
I'm
healing,
working
I've
on it.
mostly been working on putting the forks in upside down. And for me, one thing that does drive me nuts is the way he engages with a dish towel in the
Oh,
kitchen. I have it hanging somewhere, and you go, I don't have to take the dish towel off the hook in order to dry my hands on it. I mean, it's not a dish
right.
towel, it's like a hand rag. Like it's there, I dry my hands like any towel hanging up in the bathroom. You dry your hands on it, you walk away, it's still there. You know where it is. And dog is picking that thing up and moving it, throwing it in corners, crumpled. It's like, well, now we have no way of knowing where the dish rag is. We've used 5 today. I don't know if
Oh,
that's crumpled up because you used it to wipe down a counter, or if it's clean enough just with water and I can like use my hands on it again. It drives me insane. And I'm like, now I have no way. I have no way of keeping tags on these dish rags now. And I really don't like gross things touching my hands. So
yeah. That would really piss me off.
yeah, it's crazy behavior.
That would be big for me.
It's crazy behavior.
Yeah, it's like these little things that I think that's the reason it's coming up for us too, is just talking about like what I'm pretty sure I've asked that exact same question before of like, what will be the worst part if we live together? Like what will you hate about me? Like I just
I
want to
love
like
that.
I love it.
I
Um
love that.
I would prefer to like just kind of know what for both of us to know a little bit about what we should expect and like what
Yeah.
each other's kind of boundaries and uh there's this thing from Parks and Rec, oh no nos,
Oh no,
what our oh
no.
no no list is. Like
Yeah.
I think it's important to get to that. And sometimes if you just ask the fluffy questions of like, let's talk about all the ways we're the same, then
What are we gonna love?
you don't know. So yeah, I'm trying to think of others. The temperature thing is really problematic. I was doing some research on some solutions, and there's something called like the
Yeah.
Scandinavian sleep method, where basically it's like in Europe, you've probably seen this when traveling. They'll often have a big bed for two people that has two different comforters on it, like two twin comforters on a queen
Oh,
bed
I've never
and
seen that.
side by side. Oh, I've seen that in Denmark, I think in Copenhagen was the one
Oh,
time I
okay.
saw that. And at a hotel. And it can be good because yeah, everybody kind of has their own like cocoon and nobody pulls the covers off of the other person and somebody could get covers that are more breathable and somebody could get covers that are more warm.
Cute.
But I also
Cute.
don't want it to like look crazy. But there's brands that kind of make them so that they look cohesive and you can even tie them or zip them
Yeah.
together in the middle if you want to.
But will you
Um,
guys be okay during the day? Like, forget about bed. Is it like one of you is hot in the house and one of you is cold and that's the end of it?
During the day, it's not such a big problem because my temperature
Okay.
regulates. It's really at night that I get really hot, but during the day, I'm pretty
Okay. It's just at
normal.
night. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I mean, if anybody's cold, they can just put a sweatshirt on or something.
I
So
was
it's
gonna
not a
say, I feel like
daytime
that's why
thing.
we have sweatshirts. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's just at night because sleeping in a sweatshirt, I mean, I've historically spoken out against sleeping in pants. Like I don't want my body, I don't want my limbs to be covered when I'm
She don't want
sleeping.
to be encumbered.
Yeah, and I think he feels similarly. So yeah, that one is a big one that we're gonna have to solve. I feel like the captions we've solved because we're just gonna do it my way. I think a lot of times it's gonna just be we're doing it my way. But
Ah.
I worry about the longevity of that.
Oh, I like that. Good. I support it.
Yeah. Somebody wrote us a what to do that
Ooh, yeah.
is adjacent to this. It's a little more serious, but it is a way that she and her partner are really different. And it
Okay.
struck a chord. Well, in the sense that I like felt for her, but I don't think I've experienced this before. She said, "What to do? I love my boyfriend and want to be with him, but our sex drives don't match up at all. I want sex only when everything is perfectly in order, which only happens once a month or less. I can't enjoy sex if I don't know there's dishes to be if I know there's dishes to be done, if it makes me have to rush to get ready afterwards, etc. He wants sex almost daily. Is this a reason to break up? Everything else between us is wonderful, but he says he wouldn't be able to handle low sex. We are trying to compromise, but doing it 2 to 3 times per week. By doing it 2 to 3 times per week, but it is difficult for me."
Dog.
Right?
That's complicated. I mean, you probably need to see somebody. We can't be answering that, but
This
we
is a
will.
sex therapist question, 100%.
That's like a you need to be in therapy question, both of you, probably.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
True, they're on extreme sides.
that's,
Once a
I
month
mean,
and every day.
I would say, I mean, it also doesn't matter what's normal. It doesn't matter what's crazy. It just matters what works for you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But I do think that you, if you really will only have sex once a month, I would say that seems a lot less common, at least. It doesn't have to be abnormal, but that seems a lot less common.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that there isn't someone else compatible for you.
Yeah, that's a good thing to point out. Like, is this the way it's always been? Has it been this way in other relationships? Has it always been this way in this relationship? Or is it just a period of time?
Because saying I can't focus if there's other things on my
Right.
mind, I
That's
I
like an
actually really
anxiety
relate to
thing.
that. That's an anxiety thing. I really
Hmm.
that's to me that's a little different than just being like I don't crave sex that much.
Yeah.
That seems like something that it's worth a seeing if a compromise is possible and also figuring out what might help you. Maybe.
Yeah. I think that's right. That is right. I didn't go into this with a answer in my head because I was just like, the part that upset me, I guess, was that she said, right now we're compromising by doing 2 to 3 days a week and it's hard for me. And I was like, well, don't do something that's hard for you. So I do think getting to the bottom of it and communicating with him about it and saying, like, I recognize that my sex drive, while I may never get to wanting to do it daily, I recognize that like once a month is really on the lower end for most people. And I also realize that it's attached to a lot of anxieties I have. So I'm going to try to explore what that is. But in the meantime, I don't think you should be like doing it so much more than you're comfortable with. Like that is upsetting to me to think of somebody just going through the motions and doing it to please their partner when they don't want to. I know it happens, but um I don't know. Just the something about it uh like stung a little when I read it.
I understand. I think it's so tricky. Because that is bad and probably your partner also doesn't want that for you. Like
Right. They want you to be into it.
they want you to be into it if they have any fucking goodness in them at all. But it is a really tricky, that's why I think it can break people up because I think a lot of time there's this attitude that whoever has the lowest sex drive wins. Like that's the common
Mm,
denominator we all go to. And I used to listen, I don't anymore, but I used to listen a lot to the Dan Savage podcast, and it's all about sex and different kinds of relationships and this and that. It's very like modern sex, whatever. And he at least introduced me to this idea that I guess I hadn't really thought of before, which is like but there are needs for both people. Like she has a legitimate need and her boyfriend has a legitimate need. One need is not more legitimate. They're both
yeah.
legitimate. And so this idea that like we just go all the way to one person's need, it is like I'm not saying you need to have sex with someone when you don't want to. Obviously, that's not good for anybody, but it's also I think it ends up being the standstill because saying that this other person doesn't get their need met in the one place where it is supposed to be exclusive, that's also a really hard place to be. It is. I think it's unfair to just be like, well, just you don't have to get your nut off at much. It's like if we're being sex positive, then both of these needs have to be valid.
Yeah.
Um, and that might be why it is a deal breaker because you shouldn't be forcing yourself through something as intimate and that would take an emotional toll. But like either there is a compromise that like there are other options for a compromise. Like sometimes I feel more open to sex if it's like, okay, I am busy with work. I am occupied about having to get dressed sooner. Like I would be way more into this if it's understood that I'm not trying to have an orgasm right now. Like I
Yeah.
want to roll around with you and touch you and like please you and like that actually is really fun. And I don't really want to like me trying to have an orgasm, I have to like concentrate a lot. It takes a different kind of focus, it takes a different mindset. And if I think there's an expectation when I'm not in the mindset, then I'm way more stressed out.
That's
But
helpful. Yeah.
sometimes that helps me, or like, it's like, do you want to do you want me to watch you do something? Do you
Right.
want,
That's
there's,
what I was gonna suggest. Yeah. Like
do you want to,
sometimes
yeah.
somebody
Do you want to
using
read
a
something dirty
toy.
together? Yeah. And you
Right.
use a toy or you touch yourself, or like I can be with you, but maybe it doesn't have to take a physical toll on you. There are
Yeah.
like middle ground, like other options if you want to get creative. What were you saying, Jess?
No, yeah, I'm with you there. I mean, I think this could happen with a woman who's not interested in a man who is, but in my relationship, in our dynamic, I think I have a little bit higher of a sex drive than my partner. And so sometimes the solution is like he'll use a toy on me and I'm
Mm-hmm.
getting the pleasure that I need. And he's still participating and he's like wanting me to, enjoy it and feel that way. And like it kind of takes the pressure off of him if he's not in as
Yeah.
much of a mood as I am. And we still connect. We still get to feel like we had a sexual experience together. I get to get off if that's what I need that day. And like it kind of works for us. So, yeah, if there's some way that you can find a happy medium of like, okay, let's think of other ways that we can sexually and physically be intimate with each other, and whether that's actually like with sex or with something on that spectrum, um it can still like scratch the same itch basically for somebody, because a lot of it's
Yeah.
not just about like getting it in and getting your nut. It's about
No, it's
connecting,
probably
it's a
it's
way
a
of
lot of that. Yeah.
connecting, and some people are physical touch people, and some people have a higher sex drive, and so like you said, like it is a real need um for the relationship, for that person at least. So
Mhm.
yeah, maybe you can find a happy medium, but I do think the therapy advice is probably good advice too, like a longer term, to be able
Oh,
to kind of like have
yeah.
longer term clarity about this. Just
There's got to be more. I have to assume there's so much more context around whatever the couple's going through, whatever the listener's going through, and I really am so down with going to couples therapy. You don't have to be married. I've been to couples therapy many times, in relationships, and it it's probably really only worth it if your partner is enthusiastic about going. You don't ever want to be dragging someone to therapy. Nothing's going to get done,
mhm.
but hopefully you're with someone who's enthusiastic about it. It's just basically the same as, whatever hard conversations and hard problems you're trying to solve in your relationship. We're all doing that anyway, and then you can add in a session or two or three or more if you want with somebody who's like probably wiser than you and has
Yeah,
has solved a lot of problems before. Like that's all
who
it
has
is. It doesn't
seen
have
this
to.
before, he's
Yeah,
seen
it
this
doesn't have
problem
to
before. Yeah,
it doesn't have to be like we're struggling and that how embarrassing that we're going to couples therapy. It could be like, let's get somebody in here who has good ideas. Let's get the
right,
sex brainstorm going.
right, I love that sex brainstorm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Sex
I agree.
storm.
I think more people should do therapy, both individual and couples therapy, as a
Mm-hmm.
almost like a preventive measure as opposed to a reactive
Yes.
measure.
It's like usually too late then.
Yeah,
It's usually too late.
exactly. Exactly. I think, as the stigma releases a little bit, more and more people are seeing that there's value in both types of therapy, just like because, and not because there's any specific problem that you're trying
Yeah.
to solve. So I think that applies to couples therapy too. I remember Dax
Yeah.
Shepard and Kristen Bell like famously saying a few years ago, there's like such a couple that people put on a pedestal, and I don't know if I don't know enough about them to have an opinion on that really, but I did like that they kind of made a statement about how they started couples therapy when they were dating, before they were married,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't even in reaction to any specific problem they were having. It was just something that they decided to do, and they've been doing it ever since. And yeah, it's like it gives you the tools so that when problems come up, you have a way to get through it, or you have somewhere safe to go
Totally.
to talk about it, or whatever you need.
Yeah. Like I went because and found that such a huge benefit. I didn't when I ended up going, I think I booked an appointment because I was in a conversation that like wasn't moving forward in my relationship, and we were
Mm,
like, okay, we need help. And then by the time we showed up to the appointment, we'd solved the problem already. But I was like, let's just keep the appointment. We were both on board, like whatever. And the benefit then was we literally didn't have anything really specific to talk about. But then you get the benefit, same as with individual therapy, of like you have a relationship with this person. You're not going to just show up when you're in a crisis and be like, okay, let me give you all the background of each
yeah,
of our individual lives and each of our problems. Like you have a relationship, you have a foundation, you maybe have collected some tools in the meantime that could prevent you from getting to that horrible place. But especially, it's just like, you don't have to walk in. It takes like two therapy sessions to even just give the background on any situation.
100%. Yeah,
So it's like you're going to have to wait two or three sessions to even start talking about the issue to some degree. Not entirely, but even for that reason, I thought it was so interesting that you mentioned the stigma lifting though, because you're so right. It has lifted for individual therapy, but I don't know if the stigma has
for
lifted for
couples
couples
therapy.
therapy at all. And it
Yeah,
shouldn't be any different. It should be like, these are things you do to take care of your health and take care of your relationships. And your romantic relationship is probably the greatest source of happiness for people, or of stress, or of misery, or of difficulty at the very least. And like, no, there's such a stigma still.
hmm yeah. There's actually, okay, I'm gonna nerd out for a second, from like a health tech perspective, because there's actually, I think that a lot of like the reason that the individual therapy stigma has lifted of late is because obviously during COVID, a lot more people admitted that they
Yeah.
needed mental health support.
They're
And
kooking out.
it also pushed people towards virtual therapy as opposed to needing to find a therapist in their city to go meet up with in person. Like that can feel like a much bigger task and lift than just hopping on the computer for an hour and talking to someone. So COVID did a lot of good in terms of like driving people to individual therapy. And once that happened, the stigma started to lift. Great. But then you think, why didn't that happen with couples therapy? There's a lot of like technical and legal regulatory constraints on doing virtual therapy for couples. A lot of platforms can't do a three-way call, they can only do a two-way call. There's like state by state licensure issues. There's issues of like if the two people in the couple have a different health plan. So I won't get into more than that, but
Oh,
I find
interesting.
it interesting that basically the stigma lifting was kind of a like downstream reaction to a lot of regulations being more focused on mental health and a lot of people going more towards virtual care. And now it's harder to get the same thing, like the ripple effect to happen with couples therapy because it needs to start in the like tech and regulatory space for it to trickle out to like how people
Mm,
actually access it. So I'm hoping that that will happen in the near future. Like I know so much about it because my company and companies I've worked for and that I know about like try to tackle this problem.
yeah,
So, um yeah, I think it's a thing that will hopefully like get
interesting.
more and more accepted and talked about, but I agree with you. Like I've had some friends who come to us with relationship problems, come to their friend group with relationship problems, and it's great to be able to talk about that with each other. It can be really comforting to just see like, oh, so and so is having a similar issue to what I dealt with at one point, or this is normal for couples to go through these types of things. So it can be really healing and healthy to talk to your friends about it, but at some point it's like I can't solve this for you. I don't know what your partner's thinking. I only get your side of the story. Um, Therapy is going to be such a better solution. And I know that I've had some friends who were not as open to it still. And like, even though
Yeah,
we're in a friend group that's all in individual therapy, very like open minded and educated and says that we're anti the stigma about mental health stuff. And then still somebody in that type of community is resistant to couples therapy. So I can only imagine
yeah,
in different communities how much more of like a pushback there still is.
yeah. It's so interesting to me how private and defensive people get about their relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And um I get it, but I feel like you meet those people sometimes who never want to say anything negative about whatever they're in. And that can be just like a privacy preference, which of course is fine, but I wish there was more. I wish it was more prevalent and common in the culture to talk about what you're struggling with in your relationship without people taking it some way.
Mm-hmm.
Um because yeah, I like, and my friends and I are pretty good at it. And we'll still do the thing where, like, it's not that big a deal, but like, I just need to talk through this thing. And I'm like, I know, like, of course I know.
Yeah.
That's every relationship. But so many people, I think, have that fear that, like, if I talk about the thing we're struggling with, then nobody will look at us the same way. Or I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
I
that
just try to
reminded
air
me.
all of my problems as much as possible, but I can't really do that with my relationship on in content because that affects another person. And Justin
That's the
didn't
hard
sign up.
thing.
Justin didn't sign up to be a content creator, but with my
Yeah.
friends, I'm like, oh, this is going on and it's hard.
Yeah. No, totally. It reminded me of something else that's like a separate topic that I might bring up a different day, but um there is something about yeah, wanting to protect the other person, wanting to protect what your friends think of them. If you say too much, would your friends like opinion of them change. And it's like, I
Yeah.
don't think their opinion's actually going to change unless something actually severe is going on.
Totally. Or
So,
if you have idiot friends who don't
right.
understand that all people are complicated people, like get better friends.
Yep.
Yeah. But
Yep.
also
Agree.
I think if it was more commonly in the culture, like we've changed the culture of like now we're all open to talking about our depression and what we're struggling with, and
Right.
no longer do people interpret that as, oh my god, your life must be so bad. It's like, oh, you have to talk about something hard you're going through this month. Okay. And it is the same with relationships, but like because I think we rarely talk about it, when you do talk about it, people do take it harder, and they're
Yeah.
like, oh, must be pretty bad. It's like that's what everyone's doing at home.
Yeah. True. Um, oop,
Oh.
I just knocked my computer and I wanted to take a pause because I feel like I always make a lot of noise over here. Can I offer one last little ditty before we go?
Hell yeah, pimp.
It actually is more of a like interactive game that I have decided we should do. And I don't know, maybe I should have given you a heads up. It's not very hard. Basically,
Okay.
I was just driving in my car, listening to Beyonce as I always do. And I really haven't listened to pretty much anything other than Beyonce for the last year, I would
Oh,
say.
okay.
So I'm in a little bit, you could think that that's a music rut, like, oh, Jess needs some new finds. I have Nasty by Tinashe, don't worry. I have Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar, the diss track. I have the key elements that have
Yeah.
been in pop culture. But then I just have all the Beyonce albums.
It's just what you
And
like.
it's just what I like. And here's what I think. I think that there is a Beyonce album for every moment in life. And as I am trying with every day spent with you to indoctrinate you into the Beyonce life, I would like for you.
We had a big Beyonce conversation when we were in LA, and I was asking Jess all these questions about Beyonce because I was
It
trying to
was
understand
so
Jess
fun for
more.
me. It was so fun for me because it did feel like, oh, she's asking about Beyonce because she wants to know me.
Yeah.
And that felt pretty sweet. And then I also just like to feel like I'm the expert on things. So I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll tell you. I'll tell you everything. And
She
we
was
watched the
going
Homecoming
real,
movie.
yeah, she was going real like scientist. Beyonce scientist. You're a Beyonce
It's
scientist.
I'm a Beyonce scientist. So this is the experiment.
Okay.
And we don't actually have to do it.
Is this a pass fail thing for me?
No, I'm not going to test you. I want you to name like a scenario or a situation in life. Like
Okay.
you're at your
And
like
you're gonna
grandmother's funeral and I'm going to say what
set
Beyonce
the music
album goes
track.
for that.
Are you looking at notes? What are you looking
I'm
at
just
right now?
looking at the Beyonce albums so that I
Okay,
remember
okay. So you
all
know
of
what they
them.
are.
Yeah.
Okay. You're coming out of the shower and your roommates and guests are all in the living room, but you realize that your towel is out in the hallway and you have to do a super quick naked dash to get your towel. And it's
Yeah,
like a
that
silly moment, but you're screaming a little bit and like we laugh about it later, but like things were seen.
yeah, that would be I Am Sasha Fierce, which is the album that has two sides. One of them is called I Am, and the other is called Sasha Fierce. And it's like Beyonce's alter ego is
Okay.
Sasha Fierce. So
Yeah.
it represents the duality of this scene that you've set, where the person
Mhm.
on one hand is embarrassed, but on the other hand, it's like kind of funny. And she's kind of like, oh, I'm looking good. It's fine. I'm Sasha Fierce.
That's
That's the
so
album for
true.
that.
Okay, excellent. Wow, you're giving a whole album. Okay, okay, a whole album.
Yeah, I'm not going to do song.
Okay,
It would be hard to do song, but we could do that next time if this goes over well. I'm
okay.
having a great time.
What is what is the song for you're at like you're at this rooftop bar that's kind of a club with one of your best friends. I love the way you're nodding right now. You're
Yeah, I'm
nodding
setting the
like
scene.
a
I'm thinking about it.
scientist.
I've been there.
With one of your best friends and your girlfriend who you're dating. And also your best friend and their girlfriend, and anyway, we're all just chatting. It's a great night. Maybe it's your birthday. Like the night should be about you. And
Right.
then all of a sudden, right, in a tangential conversation, your girlfriend, who you've been with for 4 years, mentions offhand to one of your friends that she used to have both of her nipples pierced. And this, you guys are engaged. You guys are engaged to be wed. And this is the first that you have heard about that.
Wow.
And you don't even know what your feelings are, but you feel like you should have known something so intimate and something so specific before it was public knowledge to your friends, and you had no idea.
That's crazy. Yeah. Thank you for laying that out.
Wait. And you have to remember that this is happening. You're both
In a club.
receiving this information in a club, but in public in front of your friends. So there's no private moment. You have to just continue on with the conversation and decide how you want to handle it. Are you going to say something? Are you going to act surprised? Are you going to act like you always knew? Are you going to talk to
Right.
her later?
No, I
Like,
already have it. Yeah, I get it.
okay.
So you said give me the song, but I'm giving you the album. But I can name some
Okay.
songs off the album to make my case a little more clear.
That's
So
true.
this is definitely B Day, which you said it might be their birthday, but also B
Yeah.
Day is just Beyonce Day. We call her,
Okay.
her name's
Okay.
B.
Okay.
Um, the album starts with a song called Deja Vu, which is a little bit more moody. And I
Mm,
think it gets
mm.
at this like surprise element that you're talking about. But then
Okay.
it also picks up and it's like, maybe I find this kind of hot. Maybe I'm kind of into the fact that she had these secret nipple piercings that I didn't know about. So there's like, get me bodied. There's a moment where it's like, oh no, but actually I feel really betrayed. Like, can we move forward? I don't know if
Yeah.
maybe I'm settling with her. And so that's where
Selling.
upgrade you or ring the alarm are relevant.
Ring the alarm.
Really good song. And then at the end of it all, you just decide, like, let me just go have fun with my friends and my girlfriend. And Freakum Dress comes on in the club, and you're like, oh, put your Freakum Dress on. And
Freakum dress.
you're like, wear some nipple rings in your next Freakum
Yeah.
Dress, boo.
Get those
and then
nipple
you're
rings
good.
out here.
Yeah.
Okay. That
Mm-hmm.
seems correct.
Thank you. Give me one more, and then we're done.
True story. I witnessed it happening. True story.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
It was funny.
crazy.
Yeah, true story.
Did they recover?
Yeah, the response was trying to have no response. Yeah, trying to be
Oh,
very cool. But it
that's
was
not what
clearly
Freakum Dress is.
no, but if they'd had Freakum Dress playing, they would have had a better response, I think.
Okay, I getcha. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
they needed the
So
Beyonce
that's
album.
why it went awry. Okay, next scenario. Last one.
Yeah, last one.
Okay, last scenario. You're in a club again,
Perfect. I
and
got albums for that.
you meet this really cute guy, and you're really giving him the freakum dress for sure on the dance floor.
Lucky son of a
All of,
gun.
all of a sudden it's 3 a.m. Son of a gun. I love your old man ways of referring to these moments. Lucky son of a gun. All of a sudden it's 3 a.m. and the bars are closing, and you guys saunter out into the street lamp light together.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, want to come? You want to come hang out at my dorm? It's right around the corner."
This happened to you. Now I know that this happened to you.
And you don't know what to say, so you're like, "Okay, sure." You don't really know how to handle these situations. And as you walk to his dorm, you you're getting to see his face in more and more light.
Mm,
And you're like, oh, this is not as much freakum dress as I thought when we were in that dark club. This
mhm.
is a lot more freakum and a lot less
You
dress.
only have the one song to reference.
I don't know that much Beyonce. But so you can't fucking speak up for yourself because you're weak and you're soft, and you
Mm,
end up in his dorm in this high rise in Manhattan, and you don't want to freak him on this dress anymore at all. No way. And you spend a little time being around the bush, procrastinating, talking to his roommates. They seem boring, but you could talk to them. And then he's like, "Oh, you want to see my room?" And you're like, "Yeah, I guess." And then you're still trying to procrastinate, and you're like looking at stuff on his bookshelf, and then eventually you have a stroke of genius, a brilliant idea, and you're like, and you turn to him and you go, he's on his bed, by the way, in his dorm room, and you go, "Oh my God, what dorm did you say we're in?" And he goes, Gramercy. And you're like, oh my God, Gramercy. My best friend lives on the fourth
I
floor.
remember
Could
this
you
story.
do you mind if I run downstairs and say hi to her real quick? And he just honestly doesn't have any choice. And you know that. And he goes, sure, okay. And you run out of the building as fast as you can. And you're sprinting down the street because you're a little bit drunk and you're kind of sure that he and his roommates are going to come after you and drag you back for some reason. I don't know
Oof,
why.
okay.
But
Wow.
so that moment of you running down the street, sprinting away from your life from Freakum Dress.
Oh, that's the moment you need
That's the
the
moment.
soundtrack
That's the
for.
moment.
Okay,
That's
because
the moment.
everything before that, I was gonna say there's no Beyonce song for this. Okay, no problem. I'm leaning towards Renaissance, which is my favorite Beyonce album. I know
Okay.
that's
Okay.
crazy for some
Why is that?
Beyonce fans
Why isn't it good?
because it's new. It's like it came out last year,
Mm.
but it
Right.
is the best and it has surpassed everything for me. And it's most of what I listen to. And I just think it's relevant for everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's my favorite album ever. So I'm going to say specifically from that song or from that album, the song for that moment is America Has a Problem, which is it has like a thick beat that would be good for like running through the streets of New York.
Sing it.
It has
Sing
like
it. Sing it.
sexual undertones.
Sing it.
The first lyric is like, heard you got that D for me. Heard you got that D for me.
Yeah.
Um, it's really, it's right. I think it's right.
Yeah, that seems right. Is there
I
is
mean,
it kind of like a ballad of freedom?
there is a song called Freedom. Maybe that would be better.
I think it could be both.
Freedom by Beyonce featuring Kendrick. That
Mm,
song could be right for this too. It's like
mm,
freedom, freedom, I can't lose. Actually, that's probably more.
okay.
You know, the summary of this game is that there's a lot of
Could
options.
could be anything, actually. Yeah.
It could be anything. And this is something I'm gonna have us return to because I like it.
I love it.
And we could do it for other artists too. If you showed me that one song you like when we were
Oh,
in LA, and
one
it was
song. What
nice.
song? What song? Yeah, you did not have the reaction I wanted. What's the song?
You were obsessed with it at the time. It was cute. It was like folksy.
I think I've forgotten it already, but sounds
Okay.
good. Okay, this
Well,
is what I'm gonna say is this is what we want. If you love us and we love you, there's one thing you can do to support our podcast and it won't take nothing from you. If you want to do Daddy the biggest favor right now and just open your podcast app that you're listening on and just rate us on the stars. You don't have to write a review. Just tap, 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 tap if you haven't already. Just give it a little tap, tap. And it actually so helps our podcast. We
yeah.
don't want your money. If you try to send me money, I'll burn it. I'll throw it away. I'm not going to send it back to you, but I'll throw it away. I don't want your money. I don't want your body. I don't want your time except for when you're listening to the podcast. I just want you to go click a little star review. I'm not even going to tell you how many stars to make it because you know how many. And that would
You're
actually
taking a
be
big risk here.
it would make the world of difference. It would make a world of difference dissertance
If
for our
each of you did
podcast.
that, can you
We'd be
imagine?
we would be I don't know.
There's
Yeah.
a Beyonce song for that.
What is it?
I don't know. Probably like
Okay.
"Ya Ya" from
Yeah,
Cowboy
yeah.
Carter.
Jo-
No,
oh,
it's "Look at That Horse," of course. It's that
it's
one.
Look at That Horse. That's my favorite Beyonce song. Look at that horse. Look at that horse. Okay, y'all, that's it. Just leave that little star tap and we appreciate it so much. Thank you for being here. We had a fun time. I'm filming in my PJs and I do want to get this podcast closer and closer to a sleepover where eventually Jess and I are just laying in beds. That's if we ever have like a podcast recording set.
It's
Actually,
just
no,
beds.
Abby, don't put that in. Actually, don't put that in. Abby, don't put that in. I don't know if I said Ashley, but don't put that in because I don't want anyone to take that. Anyway,
True.
I just want us to have a sleepover. And thank you for coming to our sleepover. We're not for everyone. You can find us on Instagram at not for everyone pod with the number 4. And you can leave us a review with the stars. You don't have to even use your words.
Look how easy that is. You made it so easy for them.
Oh, we love you.
Oh, Daddy loves you.
Daddy, we're two daddies making love on here.
2 kings, 2 dads. It's Father's Day for us.
When?
Sunday.
Oh, I was like, right now? God. God.
Yeah.
Sheesh. All
So
right.
send us a happy Father's Day message while you're at
Yeah,
it.
that's true. We're the daddies.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, King.